Hey y'all, it's your legal bestie, Attorney Simone. This is another episode of Girl, Is That Legal? Come on in, let us know where you are viewing us from. And as we get started, don't forget you can always go to my website, SimoneRedwine.com, to book a consult with me. They start at simply $200 anywhere in the nation. And you can also click there if you have a real estate closing anywhere in the state of Texas. We would be happy to help. Today is Veterans Day. And as you're coming on in, I'm going to tell you guys a quick story that one of my favorite Veterans Day stories. Is sad, but it's one of my faves. But before I get to that, I'm going to let you know this is what will be coming up on the docket, y'all. And what we got today is we're going to be talking about the lawsuit. TikTokers were caught cheating, honey, and one of the wives sued the mistress and has now won big, 1.75 million in North Carolina. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how everybody wants to blame the black lady, trying to blame Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown for the fact that the SNAP benefits pursuant to the Supreme Court have not been completely released. We're going to talk about that. And last but not least, we're going to talk about our girl, Miss Wendy Williams. There is an update in her dementia situation, her dementia case. Hey, JP Mills, watching from the Virgin Islands. We've got fire, good vibes only from VA. Oh, hold on. Let me turn on. Oop, I forgot to put on demonetization. We're going to go ahead and do that. If you haven't caught it yet, check out my live from last Friday. It was on Kenya Moore and the Real Housewives, and it is a breakdown of the alleged eviction that Miss Thing is going through. Bless her heart. Bless her heart. All right. But today is Veterans Day. So I wanted to share with you, this is my papa. This is my Meemaw. My papa, my Meemaw's from New Orleans. My papa is from Richmond, Texas, which is, I guess, right here around Houston. That's him. He was a veteran. And one of my favorite stories that he used to tell me is also related to another one of my relatives for Veterans Day, which is, I asked him, what was it like being a soldier in World War II when you didn't even have rights when you came home? And basically, he talked about how cruel those white soldiers were and how they, for fun, he and his the other guys in his barracks would be walking across bridges over there in Germany, and they would just shoot at them for fun, just to watch the, Negroes hop and jump and scream. They thought that was fun. And then my aunt, my great aunt, her name is Dr. Lonaville Jones. Lonaville was her maiden name. Jones was her last name. She's one of the first Black females to graduate from Xavier and went on to Meharry in the 1930s, y'all. And I will just never forget sitting at her kitchen table in Plainfield, New Jersey, when she would tell me the story of how while being at Meharry in the 30s, she said that the guys they still had to enter the draft. So a lot of the Black male medical students, they would enter the draft. And she said that her father was actually appointed by Roosevelt to help desegregate the military. So he had told her, and mind you, she's from New Orleans. So she used to take the train from New Orleans up to Meharry for medical school. And she said her daddy used to always give her a quarter and say, even though things are not desegregated down here yet, the one place that has to have desegregation is anything federal, he said. So trains, Amtrak was federal. So he would give her a quarter and tell her the minute that they ring the bell to say food can be served, you take this quarter, you beeline it to the food service car, because that was desegregated, and you take a seat and don't you move. He gave her a quarter, and that was enough for like 5 cups of coffee or something like that. And he said, I don't care if you just have to sit and buy coffee for the 4 hours that it's open. You take that seat and don't you move, because that is one of the only places, like in America, in the South particularly, that was desegregated. So she would sit in there and she would ride as long as that train car, the food train car, was open. She would sit in there and order coffee. As long as you were ordering food, they couldn't put you out, right? She would do that. I'm just telling a quick Veterans Day story until we get into the docket. If you're new to the channel, I always open up with telling a little bit of my business before I tell other people's business. So my great aunt in the 30s and 40s, when she was a medical student at Meharry, would take the train from New Orleans up to Nashville, and she would sit in the train car where they had to allow Black people to sit, and she didn't care if white people came in there. They could not make Black people get up for white folks sitting in there. That was the rule. It was desegregated as long as you were ordering food. She said until there was one day the boys had just come back from the war. By the boys, she meant the Black men in medical school with her at Meharry. They were in their uniforms. They were in their regalia. They were so proud to be going back to school at Meharry. And lo and behold, who joined the train car but a bunch of Nazi prisoners of war, along with American soldiers who were guarding them. Do you know they made the Black male medical students get up to give the N-words a seat on the train? She said those men, and those were the men that just came back from fighting these men who were trying to kill them, who had also unalived all these Jews, all these different people. And so she said she has never seen such anger, disgust in all of her days of segregation, etc. She said those men were on fire. She said she had to hold back. Her and the other girls had to, I think it was like one other girl had to stand in between and like stop the Black male students who were in their army gear, who had just returned from war, hold them back from fighting because they were that livid that these American military officers were making them get up and give their seats to some N-words. N-A-Z-I. So I say that to say, you know, when it comes to Black soldiers, we only hear a sliver of what they've been through. Thank you so much for your service. Feel free to share this story to any of your loved ones who were in the military and have served of any race or color for our country. All right. Now for the docket, y'all, we are going to start with this crazy TikToker case. Here we go. Y'all, this is talk about keep your hands to yourself and stop trying to take other people's mans. A TikToker was ordered to pay her husband's ex-wife $1.75 million in damages over what's called alienation of affliction. Now, if you're not familiar, two of the prior more famous alienation of affliction cases, that's where basically you are messing with a married man. It only applies when you're messing with someone married. Boyfriends don't count, y'all. Boyfriends, I guess you can mess with somebody's boyfriend. You can't mess with their husband in North Carolina. North Carolina is one of the only states left. Hit that like, please, as you're joining, and subscribe. So North Carolina is one of the only states left that has this. However, I've done a prior story about California. Now, other states, if you are married, you can go after the mistress if your husband has bought her expensive gifts and things. I gave you the story of the former owner of the LA Clippers, Don, I forget what his name is, Mr. Racist Man, but his wife sued the mistress because he gave her a Lamborghini, bought her a townhouse, gave her like $2 million worth of gifts, and the wife won and was able to undo those gifts. The wife was able to get the house back and a bunch of stuff. But child, first of all, now I don't want to hear nobody talking about big girls don't be having fun, because she is not a little woman. This is not a little woman, and she showed it to this other lady's man. Now, here are the facts. Here's what we got. Social media personality Brittany has been ordered to pay $1.75 damages for intentionally causing the end of her husband's marriage to his ex-wife. Now, Kennard was sued in May of 2024. So this has been going on for a year and some change, a year and a half almost. She was sued by Akira Montague, her husband, Tiffany Montague's ex-wife. Now, Akira claimed that Kennard, quote, flaunted their relationship and her relationship with Timothy. And Akira's lawsuit claims alienation of affection and what's called criminal conversion, basically taking my man. These claims are still recognized in a handful of states, including North Carolina. Fantasia Barrino was sued for the same thing. And I believe at one point Nene was too, because Nene's man, that poor man, I think that man might be community dick. I hate to say it because the way he be spreading it wide across Houston. But allegedly, That's alleged. Here, alleged. But Nene's man was married. I don't know if he still is, but he was married. He was also from North Carolina, so I was a little nervous for her about that one. But if they're going to come after Nene, they got to come after everybody he do it to, allegedly. Now, it says in the civil suit that was filed, Akira accused Kennard. Now, Kennard, the now wife, Timothy was her manager. He was her social media manager. And her and her bosoms. Y'all, look at these bosoms. All of these bosoms. Baby, she said, don't worry what I look like. Worry about what I could do, inclusive of taking your man. Because this was something. I said, what in the world? Here we go. So it follows up to say, in the lawsuit, she claimed that she was having sex with her spouse. These claims now are only, again, recognized in North Carolina and a handful of states. Now, Kennard, the mistress, who is now the wife, has a following of over 3 million across TikTok and Instagram. She shares day in the life videos and other vlog style videos. Y'all let me know in the chat if y'all follow her, or if she's your, see, here she goes. She's so happy. She is happy. The complaint claimed that Kennard began to make social media content with Timothy, her now husband, while he was still married to Akira, alleging that many of the posts that were made, quote, without Akira's knowledge or consent. And Akira also accused Kennard of publicly sharing photos of her children that she shares with Timothy. Y'all, as of now and today, it is not a crime in the U.S. to share photos of somebody else's children or anything else at this point. Now, where you get into privacy laws is if you go into someone's private spaces. Like, you can't go into a bathroom and take a photo of someone. No, you can't do that. You can't do that in the locker room. But if these children are at your house, you can take photos of them. If the woman has invited you into her house, you could take photos of them. Think of it this way. Y'all remember Chris Hansen Catching a Predator? I used to always be like, how is he able to show these men's face on the TV screen? It was because he was luring them inside of what they believed to be a private home. That's how come he was able to take their photos, even though many of them had not been convicted. Some may not have even been charged, but because they came into his house, you can take photos of somebody in your house. I'm going to play this quick clip for you that summarizes this lawsuit. Child.
A popular North Carolina TikToker will have to pay $1.75 million after a jury found her guilty of destroying a Durham couple's marriage. The lawsuit filed in Durham County Court accused Brene Kennard, an influencer with nearly 3 million followers on TikTok, of seducing and having an affair with her manager, Tim Montague. The suit was brought in civil court by the manager's now ex-wife, Akira Montague. Akira claimed the affair caused her mental anguish, damage to her health, and deprived her kids of a two-parent household. Tim Montague eventually left his wife for Kennard. The jury found Kennard guilty of both criminal conversation and alienation of affection.
I hope this lady has good health insurance so she can get a breast reduction if she wants it. Because there is no way that those titties are not busting her back open. My mom used to, people in my family used to have big old titties like that. And I'm going to tell you, the way it used to make those indents on your shoulders and stuff, that can't be nothing nice. Nothing nice. Don't nobody want to feel like that? Yes. You get, ooh, girl. Bree said, can Remy sue Clarissa? Asking for a friend because Clarissa got it. Clarissa's got it, according to Clarissa. And yes, she can. But here's the thing. If Remy sues Clarissa, she can't do it under alienation of affection. New York City doesn't recognize that. And that would make sense. Because, you know, in New York, New York always got some weird stuff going on. From when I lived there and I used to have to play hopscotch with the rats on the way to the train midday, it's always something happening in New York, right? But what New York also wouldn't allow is they just got too many people running around cheating in New York. New York just got rid of they just enacted no-fault divorce. You used to have a reason. So I say that to say in New York, the basis would have to be something along the lines of, my husband is using community resources to wine and dine Clarissa. So, for example, if Clarissa come on this Beyonce's internet talking about oh, Remy just bought me a Maybach. Remy just bought me, I'm not Remy, Papoose just bought me a Rolls Royce. Papoose just bought me a Maybach. Then Remy can be like, hold on, Papoose. You don't even have no money, Papoose. Because that's what Remy be saying. Y'all, Remy be saying that he ain't got no money, that he is broke. That's what they say. So if Remy says that, then she could basically go to court to undo the gifts and things that her husband has given him. Yep. Somebody said, my sister had to get hers cut down. Ooh, Remy was already messing with that. But yeah, it goes both ways. So that's why I don't think Remy would do that, because I'm sure Remy was breaking off her little battle rapper. I think he needs new teeth. Hell, she might have bought him some teeth. There is no point in being a battle rapper, dating a wealthy rapper woman if you're going to walk around with some fucked up teeth. Okay, walking around with teeth that look like they are overcrowding one another, that they are arguing with one another, that they are having a dispute, that they are playing chicken, waiting for one of them to just pop right on out of there. Those were the kind of teeth that battle rapper had. I don't have a link. I don't got time to pull up his photo. But yeah, I mean, but also think about how bad she must have felt with Papoose to say, you know what? Of all the types of men in the world I could have, I've been around the world. I've performed in Dubai and America. I'm going to get me a battle rapper. I sure am. I'm going to get me a battle rapper. I'd rather get me someone from UPS. That way I can make sure that my postage and my packages come on time. But hey, who am I? She's going to get her a battle rapper. There we go. Good for her. Good for her. All right, next up. Y'all, I'm about sick of the whole let's blame the black lady strategy out here. Hold on, we gonna pull it up. Here we go. I am so okay. Here we go. We just got an upset. All right, let me share this one here. The Supreme Court has now extends its stay of an order requiring the administration to pay full SNAP benefits. Okay, I'm going to break this down for you. Supreme Court on Tuesday extended Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's administrative stay of a lower tier court that ordered the Trump administration to immediately pay full benefits. The decision, over the noted sole objection of Justice Jackson herself, I'll break this down, preserves the status quo as Congress appears on the cusp of ending the record-breaking government shutdown. The court didn't explain its decision. Now, Justice Jackson indicated that she would have denied the Trump administration's application to not pay food stamps. I want to be clear. She said, and required it to immediately pay out the full September benefits during the pendency of the lawsuit. Jackson granted the stay on Friday, though, after the government requested that the order be paused until the Circuit Court of Appeals could rule on the matter. The appeals court subsequently denied the administration's appeal on Sunday and says, quote, given the imminent irreparable harm posed by these orders, which require the government to transfer an estimated $4 billion tonight, the Solicitor General respectfully requests an immediate stay of the order pending resolution of the application, meaning a full briefing. Now, it goes on to say the move came as a district judge Monday blocked Trump from enforcing a memo directing states to, quote, undo issuance of full SNAP. The USDA initially told states on Friday it was working towards implementing full benefit issuance, and the administration said it would partially fund SNAP with 4.5. Now, here's what basically happened. Now, number one, they're blaming Ketanji for this. She is not the cause of this. She is the one that actually, as it says here, she actually wanted to order that they have to fully release all the benefits. Here's what happens. The USDA has an actual order. They have an actual policy that says, in the case of emergency, we have this slush fund. A slush fund is what we call in the government when there's like this amount of money set to the side. If something happens and you need it for an emergency, it can be used. The Trump administration, y'all, went to court and said, please don't make us feed people. That is what they said. They said, please don't make us feed people. The lower court said, bitch, is you crazy? because the Trump administration said, well, we're not really sure we have the authority. Bitch, when the fuck has that ever stopped y'all from doing anything as the Trump administration? Excuse my French. When the F has that ever stopped y'all? Never. It hasn't stopped them at any point. When they knocked down the whole West Wing, that whole West Wing, 30,000 square feet off the building, y'all in DC, without having any approvals, anything approved through the Historic Society, any of that. In Washington, D.C., you cannot add a goddamn patio deck without city council's approval. And you think you could tear down the whole West Wing? You not thinking somebody has the authority to do what you want them to do has never stopped the Trump administration from doing a gosh darn thing. Secondly, the USDA had a 60-page document explaining how they have a fund for this specific reason. It was on their website. It was published September 30th of 2025 this year. They pulled it from the website because they wanted to use this as a bargaining tool. They wanted hungry children to force Democrats to give up the fight for health care. And also, speaking about whether or not the Trump administration moves forward when they're not sure they can do the things that they're doing. Well, let's see. They absolutely appointed Lindsay Holloway or whatever, Hallegren, to a U.S. Attorney General for for Virginia, when the girl ain't even licensed in Virginia. She has no Virginia bar license. And then when she didn't even have the authority, she didn't have the authority from Congress either, because he was only allowed to appoint someone for 120 days. He already appointed that person. That person stepped down. He did not have authority, Trump, to appoint her. Nobody did. They actually are now trying to backdate her appointment, which is its own stupid story. So, yes, the stupid Democrats, I'm saying these 8 stupid Dems who went along with this plan are going to be part of why we have astronomical amounts of health care. But also, I want to be very clear, this is not Ketanji's fault. What Ketanji said is that she was going to give the Trump administration until Monday to submit full briefing, because the truth of the matter is the circuit court has to make an opinion after the lower court. So it's federal district court, right? So that would be the same type of court where Diddy was sentenced. Then you appeal it to circuit court. Well, the circuit court, at the time that Ketanji said that, she was right. Procedurally, that's what needed to happen, because the Supreme Court is not supposed to hear a case before the circuit court, which is the appeals court, either says we will hear it or we are going to pass it. We're going to hear it or we're going to pass it. Effectively, that's what Ketanji said. Now, the U.S. Supreme Court is saying they're going to let the whole thing go to a trial, effectively, because if you pay out the $4 million, you won't be able to get it back. So that's what happens when you have a stay of a restraining order. A stay simply means you have to exercise a stay if the result of executing an order means there will be irreparable harm. Meaning, once you do the thing here, once you release the $4 billion for SNAP benefits, you won't be able to get that money back. Technically, that could be true. However, you could always argue that the states would then, if it's wrong, the states would have to repay the government. That could be an argument. But before we do that, let's be very freaking clear here with these goddamn SNAP benefits. For 1 month, we'll take $9 million. How much is Trump giving to Argentina? How much is he giving them? Or is it Venezuela? Argentina. He's giving these fools 20 million times 2. He's given them 20 million and promised an additional 20 billion. I'm sorry, with a B. It is 9 billion per month needed to fund SNAP. We are giving that country 40 billion with a dollar. So 40 divided by 9 means we got the money somewhere. And we have that money for months and months. It says, what is it saying? Sasha says, I get a headache hearing about this stuff. So sick of it. It is draining. I hear you. So I'm wrapping it up on this. We're going to talk about Wendy, because I agree. It's frustrating because there's nothing that we as individuals can do about it. And the stupid people just get to keep being stupid and we're the ones that got to suffer. So let's talk our girl, Wendy Williams. Update. So Wendy is saying, my neurologist says no frontal temporal dementia. This could be great news for her. Now, as we know, she has been going back and forth. Now, most recently, a judge ordered, at the request of her still appointed guardian, Sabrina Morrissey. Sabrina Morrissey is saying, hey, Wendy and Wendy's family are saying they don't believe that this guardianship is necessary anymore. So we're going to ask the court to have a new evaluation of Wendy to confirm whether or not she still suffers from dementia and whether or not it is at a phase that it is preventing her from managing her own day-to-day life expenses, etc. Now, if you remember, if you watched the Lifetime TV show that was about Wendy, in the show, her argument or her family's argument was that this was, and they stated that this was alcohol-induced dementia from years of alcoholism. Since then, Wendy hasn't been drinking. Now, dementia is not something that can be reversed, but certainly if you take away alcohol, it can certainly help to slow it. So here's what TMZ is reporting. It says Wendy Williams does not have the medical condition a judge has used to keep justifying her in a highly restrictive guardianship for more than 3 years, according to a top neurologist. Sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ Wendy recently completed a battery of tests in New York, and the neurologist concluded that she does not have frontotemporal dementia. The neurologist provided Wendy's legal team with the results last month, y'all. The findings conflict with an earlier test when, according to Wendy's guardian, she tested positive for the condition. Frontotemporal dementia, according to multiple experts to whom we've spoken, that TMZ has spoken to, it never gets better, only worse. So let me correct that. Frontotemporal doesn't get worse, but when you take out alcohol, it can be more manageable. Let me clarify that. Yet Wendy has exhibited remarkable neurological resilience since she became clean and sober. See, 3 years ago, although she's still locked in the guardianship. We're told Wendy's legal team will file legal documents with the court in the next 2 weeks, paving the way for a hearing where they will ask the judge to terminate the guardianship. If the judge digs in and refuses to end the guardianship, powerhouse lawyer Joe Tacopina, I love Joe, will then demand a jury trial and ask jurors to free Wendy. Y'all, I can't wait to break this down. Speaking of Tacopina, Wendy attended the wedding of Joe's son, Chris, who married Emma White. By the way, Chris is about to get his second Stanley Cup ring. Oh, wow. He's the data analytics manager for the Florida Panthers. Wait. Data analytics managers get ring. Please, I thought that boy played a sport. Boy, y'all play too much. I'm telling you, sometimes the stuff that these people learn to do to get over. But good for him. The point is this. Let's go, Wendy. Not only is it excellent to have Joe on the team, but so the next stage would be a jury trial. Think of if you are a New Yorker, wouldn't you want to be on that Wendy jury? Let me tell you something. If you are a New Yorker and you are thinking about being that Wendy jury, here's what I need to tell you to do. Do not go up there acting a fool, okay? Don't act like you don't speak no English, so you don't want to be on the jury. Wendy needs people like us on the jury. They need fair people. They need people who aren't just going to assume that because a guardian said it, it's true. They need people who are going to see all types of the evidence. We're going to see both sides and go in there and be neutral. Wendy is going to need a jury like Diddy got a jury. Okay, on Diddy's jury, he had a deli worker. He had somebody that worked at an Amazon warehouse. He had a neuroscientist. He had some gays. Put some gays on that jury. Gays love Wendy, and Wendy loves the gays. Get some gays in there. You know, great gays are in there. They're critically thinking because people be judging the gays. So gays like to sit there on that jury, and they're going to judge you right back, okay? They're going to judge you, Sabrina Morrissey. They're going to see if you know what you're talking about. Does it make sense? Yes, they had a massage therapist on the jury. Everyday people. And guess what these people are going to get to do? They're going to look at some of the expenses that Miss Sabrina Morrissey has run up under this guardianship to say, wait a minute, does this look reasonable? Does this look fair? No. We want the gays. We want the gays. Say it with me. We want some gays on that jury. Who else should we have on that jury, y'all? I think we have some school teachers on that jury. Let's get some postal workers. Give them a chance to sit down. They work really hard. Who else would you, if you were a lawyer for Wendy Williams, let me think who else I want some hairdressers. I want some people who watched her show. Absolutely. Here's the thing. If you get called to jury duty for something like that, also don't go in there and say, I love Wendy. I've watched her all the years. Yeah. That might be your thought. Zip your lips. They love kicking people off who I feel are going to go in there and give it a fair shot. Now, if you don't think you can be fair, of course, get the hell out of there, right? Menu Mindset said it. A nurse. We need a nurse. Get you a nurse. Get you a CNA. Oh, especially as a CNA. It's a Simone must start a stomach hurts. We want the gays. We want some gay nurses. Put some gay nurses, both kinds of gays. The dagger kind, the lady kind, and the boy kind. All the gays. We want nurse practitioners. Yes. If you've worked in a senior's home, especially those people, right? Because they're going to know, what do these people go through? Yes, she's at I think it's a $20,000 a month care facility. But this is excellent news for Wendy. This is a great start. And I've actually wondered how come her legal team, or whether they've explored asking the judge to recuse himself. Now, when you ask for a judge's recusal, generally it would be because maybe you feel that the judge has too close of a relationship with the guardian, Sabrina Morrissey. That could be a reason. Sorry. Yeah, that could be a reason. Sorry, I have cousins that are, I don't know if that's a bad word. If it's a bad word, I'm so sorry. But you have all different kinds. And so in this instance, I was kind of surprised at that, but I know a number of lawyers who don't like making that motion, because if the judge does not recuse himself, then you've got this disgruntled judge who doesn't want to hear anything you have to say. So I can totally understand both sides, but that's what I've got for you guys today. Drop your comments below. Let us know what you think. Will I cover again in New York? What specifically? Will I go back to New York? It just depends on what, like, if there's a trial for Wendy's case, oh, baby, I'm going to be in there. But more specifically, Wendy's case is going to be televised if there's an actual trial in Wendy's case, because state cases are televised. Yes, Ghislaine Maxwell, the special treatment. Y'all, I'm going to do a deeper dive into this, but they done gave Ghislaine Maxwell a goddamn puppy. They gave this girl a puppy, y'all. They let her have access to a laptop. Since when do you give ex-offenders access to a laptop and a puppy? Calling it a service animal. Yes. Everybody in that prison should gather together and just whoop her ass. But they probably can't, because now they're holding her in special areas and this and that, so she can't get her butt beat. But the only reason they're giving Ghislaine Maxwell special treatment is because she's withholding special information, and she's sitting up there lying, talking about, no, Donald's not listed in anything. That's why. So yes, Darlene, there could in fact be a trial on the Wendy Williams guardianship, a full-out trial led by Joe Tacopina. He is the same attorney that helped ASAP Rocky get a not guilty verdict in his. You don't play with Joe. Y'all have a great night. This is your legal bestie, Attorney Simone.